Frankie, what's up, buddy? I recall you mentioning in a previous training about how you manage your to-do list by writing down a list of things to get done every day. Yep, got my book right here, man. And I just finished. We had a meeting with. We just had a corporate meeting just prior to this call for one of our businesses, and I wrote down something that I was tasked with, and I was like, okay, it'll get done because it's now in my planner, and I do that with everything, guys. I write down whatever I need to do, like at the start of a week on Monday, I'll write down, and for each company, I've got 5 companies that I run essentially, or work within. And so I have 5 companies on I use a daily planner. I usually use the Get Stuff Done journal, but right now this is the Best Self journal because for whatever reason, Get Stuff Done journal wasn't available when I went to go purchase it again. So anyway, I take one page and I write down semantic mastery, semantic links, semantic SEO, Tree Care HQ, Local Fury. And I write down those 5 companies, and then I write down my to-do list for the week for each, like the tasks that I want to complete for each one of those companies for the week. Then on Tuesday, I write them down again. Whatever wasn't done gets written down again. And then Wednesday, and then Thursday, and then Friday. Sometimes it'll be 3 weeks where I'm writing the same fucking item down over and over and over again. And finally, I just do it because I'm tired of writing it down. Like, I swear to God, I do that for me because that's the only way. There's certain things that I will procrastinate on. And unless it's really, really annoying, which writing it down every day becomes really annoying, then that's the only way it gets done. So yeah, I absolutely do that. I do that every single day. That's how I do it. I write stuff down, and if I don't complete it, then I write it down the next day and the next day and the next day. And eventually I get pissed. I get angry, and I'm like, I'm going to do it just so I don't have to fucking write it down again. And then I do it. You know what I mean? So it's a great way to get, not only that, but it forces you to keep your prioritized tasks top of mind, right? It forces you to think through what needs to be executed throughout the week, like what needs to be done. Guys, how many of you here, and I'm just saying this, the proverbial you, I'm not singling out you, Frankie, or anybody else, but how many of you here actually sit down and like think about what you need to do for the day or for the week every day? I mean, all it takes is 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes to sit down and kind of plan out, like, what are my biggest tasks that need to be completed? What are the highest leverage activities, right, that I can do that are going to produce the most results? And then focus your time on that. Because guys, if you wake up in the morning and you just like, what am I going to do today? Then you're reactive. You just react to whatever the fuck happens throughout the day. Like you'll go wherever the wind blows you, so to speak. But if you act with intention, you can get a hell of a lot more done. And you can, I know I'm guilty of also sometimes doing busy work, right? And where you feel like you're being productive just because you're busy, but really it's stuff that is absolutely like VA work or something like that you shouldn't be doing. I'm still guilty of that sometimes, but that's why I try to write things down, because it helps me to kind of keep on task, and also to prioritize what I'm spending my time on, right? The things that have the highest leverage, they're going to have the biggest impact on my business. So
I want to add my 2 cents on here, because something that's been helping me a lot lately over the past probably 18 months. So I do a daily review too. I do it every day. I also have kind of a weekly review where I set up my week. And basically that comes down to the higher level stuff. So review like, hey, what are the big projects, whether it's semantic mastery, whether it's agency stuff, whatever it is. And then out of that, I come out with A goals. So I had a business coach. I don't know if this was his idea or this is something out there, but he said as a group, we used to do this where you would have to publicly say what you will do if you do not get these done. And it has to be something effing painful. Yeah. So that's one way to do it. If you're the accountability type. For myself, I get really pissed off. I don't like letting myself down, right? You don't want to get in the habit of lying to yourself. So you have to be realistic. You don't set 25 A goals, because in the classic example, it's like, let's say your A goal was to get aspirin for your wife, and it turns out that the 3 states next to you don't have aspirin. Well, then no matter what, you're driving, 15 hours to go get it because you told yourself you go do it. I take it down slightly a notch from that. But these are the things that absolutely will get done no matter what, unless in my mind, there's a very good reason. Like, I'm not going to go get aspirin for my wife if she got some herself, right? But the name of the A game is to do exactly what you told yourself you'd do. So I sit down on Mondays, I come up with my A goals that are generally kind of bigger picture stuff. And then I write it down. And this helped me a lot because I work digitally. but I put them on a whiteboard, and I would turn my camera, but my office is a mess right now and I'm embarrassed, but I've got a huge whiteboard over there and I've got my A goals up there so that every time I walk in and out of the office or move my head, I see them. And for me, that's really effective because out of sight is out of mind for me. And I see those and it constantly gets me back on task. And then the second thing I do is every day, and this has been the hardest thing to do. I've tried this for years and it's finally, for whatever reason, I can't explain why it's clicked this year, is I take 60 to 90 minutes every morning and I just do whatever is the most important thing to me and what I think is going to get the most leverage that I want to get done. And it's tough because I don't look at emails. I don't look at Slack. I don't do anything until I've done this time. And I set a little timer and maybe it's just 61 minutes. It's not always 90, but I just set it and I get to work. And then, man, that has made a ton of difference. And a big part of that is ignoring the other things. Get the phone out of the room, get in the habit of not checking your email. The world isn't going to burn down. You know, if something happens, if Bradley called me or messaged me, I'd respond, but you're aiming for 80% here and just really try to do that.
Thank you, Adam. That was great. And I totally agree. That's why, guys, I started the Twitch channel that I do for what Adam just said, was because I allowed my businesses to, take over all of my time last year. And that's fine. I needed to growth stage. We're still in the growth stage, but at the point where, I was neglecting the tasks that I wanted to work on that I have in things that are for me, right? Because I was constantly working on management and building the businesses and things like that. And those are all for me too, but things that I want to work on, like what Adam said. So that's part of the reason I started the Twitch streaming, because I wanted to get back to spending at least a minimum, which originally was 6:30 to 7:30. Most of the time I go till 8 a.m. now. So it's on average, roughly 90 minutes that I do the streaming. And I do that intentionally now because that's the time that I get to work on what I want to work on. Right. And that's why I started doing that. And I agree with Adam too. Like, so I do that every day now, specifically. Well, sometimes I miss, but very rarely. Because again, it's something that I wanted to do, and it forces me to do that before I start really. I mean, I get up in the morning and I kind of plan my day out. And actually recently I've been starting my workday at 5:30 a.m. And from 5:30 a.m. until about 6:15 a.m. I study for about 45 minutes. And then at 6:15, I prepare for streaming at 6:30. And then I stream from 6:30 to about 8 a.m. And then at 8 a.m., from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., I'm getting my team in order for the day. And then at 9 a.m. is when all the fucking sales calls and onboarding calls and Zoom meetings and all that kind of stuff starts. And from 9 a.m. until about 3 p.m., I'm usually tied up in meetings and things like that. And then usually around 3 p.m. until 5 or 6 p.m. is when we're doing webinars and stuff throughout the week. Coaching calls, group coaching calls, et cetera, Hump Day Hangouts, et cetera. So again, like what Adam said, it's building a routine and then sticking to that routine, Frankie. To me, what you were talking about, the to-do list, that is part of my routine every single day. Like I said, 5 companies I write down on the one side of my daily planner. It's a blank sheet. So I write SL for semantic links, SSSEO, right? SEO for semantic SEO. TCHQ, Tree Care HQ. And then I just write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like whatever number of tasks I want to complete for the week. You just write it down every day. One last thing I want to talk about this, and I know we're about to run out of time, but I do want to run through comments very briefly too. If anybody of you guys got to go. And I'll stick around for a couple more minutes. But the other thing that I want to recommend, guys, is, and I know some of you probably going to think that this is some like woo-woo shit out there, right? Like some meta crazy stuff, but visualize the tasks being complete. You visualize in your mind's eye, the theater of your mind is another term for that, right? So literally close your eyes, and you don't even have to close your eyes. Once you train your mind, once you practice enough, you can visualize with your eyes open. But it's imagining. Use your imagination and imagine yourself completing those tasks. Like just run through your day, right? Think through your day, right? Plan out what you want to accomplish, write down your list, and then take a few minutes to kind of visualize in your mind's eye what it is, like you executing those tasks throughout the day. Like you can run through an entire day in seconds in your mind, right? Like seriously, there's no concept of time in the imagination. So you can run through an entire day in literally seconds in your mind's eye. And it takes practice. If you've never done it before, it takes practice. So here's what I recommend. And I mean this, guys, because why do I say that? Because it almost becomes like it's deja vu when you're doing it. It's harder to become distracted when you've kind of imagined yourself doing the thing, whatever that thing is, because it's like it's familiar to you, and it's almost like it's like muscle memory, right? You're going through the motions because you've already envisioned yourself completing those tasks. Again, I know some of you probably like, this fucking guy's crazy, but no, I swear to God, it's helped me so much to become so much more productive and to stay on task and to get more done throughout the day. And so where I learned this was from Psycho-Cybernetics, Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Just go to Amazon.com, look up Psycho-Cybernetics or Dr. Maxwell Maltz, and you'll find it. Now, the Maxwell Maltz Foundation is owned by Matt Fury, and he's taken over it. But the Psycho-Cybernetics teaches you how to visualize. And by the way, Matt Fury has his own program called Theater of the Mind, which also teaches visualization tactics and how to kind of do these things. But it really, really helps. And if you get into the habit of doing it, like I said, it's hard at first, guys, but once difficult, now easy, right? It's like meditating, mindfulness. Another app that I don't really use it so much anymore. I still have a subscription, but I don't really use it anymore. But for months and months, I went through every morning a 10 minute of meditation or mindfulness session using the Headspace app on your phone. Another one is Calm, CALM, but then there's Headspace. I like the Headspace app. That's what I've been using for probably 4 or 5 years now. And I'll still jump in and do a mindfulness session every now and then, but that will train you how to calm the incessant dialogue in your own mind. At least for me, the dialogue in my own mind never stops, right? Unless I intentionally stop it, which is what mindfulness is about removing yourself from that stream of consciousness that we're always caught up in at all times. And almost like looking down on that stream of consciousness, right? Like an example of this would be like, or an analogy would be like standing on a bridge over top a river or a creek that is moving, right? If you look down, like you can see the stream of water. And if you focus in on it like a stick that's floating in the water, right? All of a sudden you get caught up in that stream and you're watching it, go downstream. But if you, so that's like what our thoughts are. We think about something and we latch on to a thought and we're caught up in this stream of consciousness and this whirlwind of thoughts and emotions and everything else. But if with mindfulness, it's about kind of rising above that on a conscious level and allowing that like stream of thoughts and randomness and everything else and just kind of observing it, not focusing in on any one of them. And it helps you to kind of like to learn how to prioritize things, right? And not get so caught up in every thought and every emotion and all of that. I think Stoicism is kind of another philosophy that can kind of help with these kind of things. Anyway, I bring all that up just because, like I said, I'm not trying to be meta or anything like that, guys. Like, some people probably think that's crazy. I did too originally, but I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. And I literally gave it a real true effort for several months before I started to see, well, for me, it was several weeks before I started to learn how to, meditate properly. And then after that, I started visualizing and then I practiced. And with visualization, it's like anything else. It's like any other muscle that you exercise it, you get better and stronger at it the more you do it. I've talked about this before, but how do you get better at anything? You do more of it, right? So visualizing is not something that you're I mean, some people, I guess, do it naturally, but for me, it was very painful. But it is something that I found to be incredibly valuable for my business, is to sit down and think through things. Once I kind of developed what I feel is the appropriate plan, then just it just takes moments to kind of close your eyes and visualize yourself executing those tasks successfully, so that when you go to actually do the thing, now it feels like it's routine, like you've done it before, if that makes sense. So anyways, if top level athletes do that, where they'll practice in their mind, then why don't we? You know what I mean?